G'day and welcome back to the channel. So thought I'd do this quick video and share with you first race of the series, as well as just give some beginner tips and I guess a bit of an explanation on some of the things that I learned in my first series. A few things that sort of had me puzzled. I will, in the comments below, I will put some timestamps in there so that you can jump to whatever information you want to get to. So the first thing I'll talk about will be driver ranking. And so driver ranking, or I should say the prize pool for these championships, they work exactly the same. So your ability to rank yourself up. For example, I'm currently in Group D. For me to rank up, I pretty much need a top 5 result to continue to progress up to Group C and then Group B. Group A. So just to give you an example as well, is that you do need to get a certain amount of points to maintain your ranking. So if you're a Group A driver, Group A plus, and you would even say, even if you won a Group D race and all of your opponents were Group D, you would probably go backwards in ranking. So you're going to need to earn a certain amount of points, even to just maintain your ranking. But the points that are available to you are determined by the quality of the opposition that you're racing against. So the more often that you're racing against people of a similar rank as you, so if I'm racing against Group D drivers and Group C and Group B, or even better if I was ranking against all Group B and Group C, if I get a top 5 result there, I'm going to earn a lot more driver ranking points than I would if I was ranking driving, just like I am in this race, against all Group D drivers. So the total, so what you're going to get, obviously the higher you finish, the better, but the prize pool available to you is going to be different in every single race. And it's the same when you're racing in these online championships. So you're really trying to get, and there's no way of knowing who they're going to matchmake you against. But yeah, the higher ranked your opponents, the better, and the better result that you get in that race is going to be better for you in the championship overall. So next thing I want to say is, so I guess thinking about that driver ranking, the best start that you can get to any of these championships, for example, it's going to put you in either GT1, which you need to be a Group A ranked driver or above. GT2 is for Group B races. GT3 is for Group C and below. So if you really want to be competitive in these championships, you do need to start off as a high Group C, for example, if you're in the GT3 series, because what that's going to mean is you're going to get better matchmaking. You're going to be matchmaking against the top drivers in that series. So, and because you're racing against the best guys, as you get good results, you're going to get a much larger amount of points for that race in the series. So, and I'll also point out that every time you're racing, you do a different race, you are risking the points gained in the first race. So for example, if I got 90 points out of this race, if I was to race again, so because I came first in this race, if I was to race again and come last, well, that's the result that I get. Whatever result I get last is what the game's going to save. So if I quit the race, I'll get no points. So every time you choose to do another race on that day, because there's multiple races available to you, you are risking the points that you've earned. So please consider that. I know I got quite lucky in my first series. I was a high ranked Group C, and I was getting matchmates against the top drivers in the series, and then because I got good results whilst racing against the top guys, I was able to get a top 10 finish in my first go doing one of these World Series. So yeah, please consider that when you're entering each series, because yeah, if you're going to race, if you're in Group B, but you're a low Group B, that's locking you into the GT2 series, you're not going to have a chance at coming anywhere near the top drivers, because it's not going to matchmake you against those drivers. So you will see a lot of drivers tank down. So that might be a Group B racer, But they already know this. They know they're not going to be competitive unless they're at the top of Group B. They're going to tank their racing and they're actually going to put themselves back into Group C when they actually start this series. So those are the guys that I guess you'd say haven't quite made it to the top of that next group, so they've chosen to stay in GT3, and that way they're getting a better chance at finishing in that top 10. So I can't blame them. I would much rather be as high as possible, but after doing my first series of racing, I realise now that that's pretty much how it goes. If you can't get to the top of a division before the actual series starts, you're much better off actually tanking back and starting in a lower series, GT3 for example, and having a shot at actually being in that top 10. So next thing I'll mention, so we'll talk about DR, is we'll talk about, so in the races, often required to do a pit stop, and you'll see later on in the race that the reason I got the win in this one was because the guy in front of me just didn't pit. So please keep an eye out for that. Certain races are going to put that in place, and if you don't pit, you're looking at a 2-minute penalty. So it'll cost you. It'll cost you a race if you don't do it. With your tyres, your tyres are going to get worn out. They get more slippery throughout the race. There's a couple of things you can do to avoid spinning out. One of the things you can do is short shift. So there's a few corners of some of the hairpins that are coming out in second gear. Later in the race, it gets a bit hairy. I start to lose the tail end because I don't have great throttle control. So what I can do is I can come out of that corner in third gear instead, and I'm going to get a lot more traction. The other thing that you can do mid-race or any time is you can actually adjust your traction control. So you want to have your traction control as low as possible, because the lower your traction control is, the faster you're going to drive, as long as you can control the throttle. So where you start with your traction controls, up to you. But you want to start with somewhere where you're comfortable and you're consistent. So for me, I think in this race, I think I started off with 2. Didn't do a lot of practice, but yeah, 2 was pretty good for me. And then later on in the race, when the tyres started to get a bit sketchy, I bumped that traction control up because I didn't want to risk spinning out, especially in those last few laps. I should also mention, so did talk about the amount of points that you get and that you're putting up for risk. So you really need to think about what you're trying to lock down. So, because the only way that you're going to lock in those points is by stopping racing. You don't want to leave your racing to the last minute. It can be tough with work. I know last year I was only able to really get 2 to 3 races in because the time I finished work and the time that the series is on. So, but yeah, get in there as early as you can. Get your practice in the day before. Make sure that you're all in sync with the track and the cars, and that way you can make the most of the time that you have to race. And yeah, when you can have a look at the leaderboard, but you can get a bit of an idea of what points you're going to need to stay in touch with the top 10. So at the end of each race, you'll see the results go up, and I think that's the best way of knowing what to lock in. So if the average is top 10 guys are earning 100 points a race, and that's what you're really trying to do, you might get 80 points in a race and know that the chances are matchmaking is going to go south. Like matchmaking's not going to get better. So what you're going to do is just lock in those 80 odd points or whatever you get, and call it a day. So just looking at the guy behind me here, old mate is catching up. He's getting a bit quick, but always looking to drive nice. We don't like to drive dirty here on the channel. So you'll notice that I am going to give him a little bit of room coming to these corners. Now, we're not racing for money here, so yeah, just trying to leave that guy a bit of room, not using up all the track, trying not to bump into him. There's a couple moments here and there. But yeah, always. I mean, it gives you. It's such a good feeling to know that there's courteous drivers around you, and when you do have someone hot on your tail, it can get a bit nerve-wracking. But yeah, even as you swap position, just to give that little bit of space, a bit of driver courtesy goes a long way. So yeah, he did. He hit me. That was right. So I've decided to go in the pits there, and that poor guy has hit me in the rear. So I've come in because I figured all I'm doing is losing some track time or losing pace with those tyres, and I want to get them off before I spin out or have an accident. Like I said before, you can bump up traction control. It's a really good way to deal with bad tyres, but just be aware that you can lose a bit of pace. So another guy spun there. It's funny how it feels when you're racing, because I remember coming out this lap and the next lap thinking, be lucky to get on the podium, let alone win the race. Sort out those cold tyres. I love the Ayrton Senna quote that if you're no longer trying to overtake, you're no longer a racing car driver. Let's see how I go in here. Nice and smooth. No contact, that's what we're looking for. I will say as well, and I wish this weren't the case, but from my experience, um, the higher I ranked up, the dirtier the driving got. So when I was in Group B, that was some of the worst driving I'd seen in all of my Gran Turismo experience, and it seemed to be that the driving got a lot more competitive. So we're all sort of a lot tighter, like the pack's a lot tighter, but also the drivers got more desperate. It's like just the desperation to get to the top of Group B was ridiculous. And unfortunately, I wish that were not the case. I wish Gran Turismo had a better penalty system, but it doesn't. And yeah, unfortunately, I would say that the higher up you go, the worse it got for me anyway. But that's the nature of the Gran Turismo penalty system. That I don't think the penalties are high enough, especially that I know some drivers are quite calculated, and they know when they've got a 10-second lead, or say you're in the battle at the very front of the pack, and you've got a 10-second or a 15-second lead on the guys behind you. That driver in second place will know that maximum penalty he's going to get is a 4-second penalty. He's going to completely wipe you out. Your race is done. By the time you get back on the track, get going again, you've lost about 25 seconds. But he suffers that 4-second only penalty. But because he's a fair way clear of the other cars, he wins the race. And too often do I see people, getting dirty in the last lap of a race, or just for that case, all over the place. Dirty drivers, and there's not a big enough deterrent to have them, stop that kind of behaviour. So I doubt that anyone from Gran Turismo is listening, because I know I see plenty of videos out there with the same information. But yeah, I'd like to see a sin bin. I'd love to see a stop-go penalty. I'd like to see a driver. Surely the algorithm can figure it out. That if a driver's repeatedly ramming into people and getting those 4-second penalties, why can't they get banned for the rest of the day? And if you're going to drive like that, you shouldn't be on the racetrack with other competitive races. You can go race with the children, if that's the way you're going to behave. So here you'll notice I have a close call. So just as those tyres are starting to lose a bit of grip, and you'll notice me just check my settings and just bump up the traction control. And then I'm checking some other settings I've got. So I forgot to bump my brake bias to the rear, so why not change that now? And just back to that traction control, because I wasn't too sure. I was considering bringing it back down, just testing it out at this stage. But if it all feels pretty good to drive, just leave it there for the rest of the race. The other thing going through my head at the moment is, where in the hell is number one? Because I'm not seeing him on the straight. I feel like I'm going pretty quick. I've got a guy in my rear vision mirror who's getting a glimpse at him every now and then. I don't think you can really see it here, but definitely just basically just keep pushing no matter what in a race, and you never know what's going to happen. But just looking again, having that traction control bumped up a bit is going to get me a little bit more consistency in my laps as those tyres start to get bad. So yeah, everything's pretty good. Now, and getting around that corner, getting the throttle on, much easier. So not even a chance of the tyre slipping. It's kind of what I need. So I'm kind of defending a position, but I'm also wondering where number one is. So I'm kind of chasing two, thinking he's going to have to pit soon. But I guess he didn't.
Bad luck. 991. You do have to pit. Wow. Okay.
Thanks very much for watching. Good luck with your racing this season. I hope you guys are all staying safe out there. Keep it clean on the track, and we'll see you next time. GG's.